Good evening, everyone. This is the June 22nd, 2022 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This meeting is being operated as under a hybrid format pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by telephone. That number is 1-408-650-3123, and then using access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. So all supporting materials for tonight's meeting have been provided to members of the commission and are also available on the town's website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using our posted agenda. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the commission, and permit me to confirm that members and persons that are participating this evening are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Fallon? Present. Patrick Cunningham? Present. Megan Langley?
Present.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Also, we have town officials and employees participating. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Building Commissioner Caleb Mooney? Present. And Keith Heselton?
Present.
Okay. So please note that any meeting taken tonight will be conducted by a roll call vote. Before we proceed, I have to ask if anyone is recording this meeting. And then if any participants are participating remotely this evening, please state your name and address as if you were attending in person. Having said that, the first item on tonight's agenda is the 7 p.m. public hearing. Town of Auburn, a notice of intent to control invasive and nuisance non-native aquatic vegetation with the use of various registered herbicides and algicides and other BMPs in the areas of the Packagug Golf Course, Irrigation Pond, Eddy Pond, and Pondville Pond in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. Is there anyone on behalf of the applicant available to testify? Okay. So this matter was on our agenda for May 25th. There was participation at that time. We have requested that the applicant provide us with material safety data sheets for the herbicides and algicides that were going to be used in connection with the project to treat the invasive and nuisance vegetation. We had not received it as of the last meeting on June 8th, and I am advised that we have not received it as of tonight's meeting. So I thought I made it clear to the applicant, and I thought the applicant agreed that we needed and wanted those material safety data sheets before we could close the public hearing. So if there is no one available from the applicant to address this issue, I'd make a motion that we continue the public hearing on this matter to our next meeting, which will be on July 13th of 2022. Would that be at 7, Keith?
7 p.m.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to continue the public hearing.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote. Okay. We have a couple minutes to our next public hearing. I'm going to jump around a little bit just for the sake of efficiency. Several of us went out to Mr. Azem Mohammed's property at 23 Brook Street a couple of Saturdays ago. Someone had filed a request for a certificate of compliance, but the lawn or his lawn has not been installed yet. He advised that he was working with his contractor to get that lawn installed. So I would suggest we just carry the agenda item for Mr. Mohammed to our next meeting. I presume that at some point this summer he will get his lawn, and then we can go out there and make a determination whether a certificate of compliance can be issued. We had also received a letter, and which should be in your packets, members. I'll see if I can find it. And this has to do with something called the Z126 Skywrap project. So this is an email that was sent to Mr. Heselton from Keelan Consowitz at VHB from Watertown. Apparently they're discussing the installation of a fiber optic cable in Auburn, which will be an overhead line located approximately from Route I-90 to Elmwood Avenue. And so apparently this is just a notice letter. It's my understanding that this work will not be started until 2023. So on the one hand, they're saying they're exempt from permitting with us, but then they wanted to get verification from us if they needed permitting. So perhaps we can send a letter to them requesting more details concerning this project, because the email in and of itself does not, isn't specific enough to my taste anyway. In any event, the next item on our agenda is the 7:05 public hearing, 9 St. Mark LLC, a notice of intent to construct a proposed commercial addition with associated parking utilities at 9 St. Mark Street here in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Gilberto Dino, CMD Engineering, representing the applicant property owner, 9 St. Mark Street LLC, for the proposed building expansion, because this is described at the last hearing. I'd like to thank the commissioners that did attend the sidewalk last week, I believe, or before.
2 weeks before.
And looking forward to hearing additional feedback from everybody on that. Just to give a quick update as to where we stand right now. Last week, we received approval from the zoning board of appeals for the special permit for the work within
Members,
No, I apologize. I'll start over again, just to give a quick catch up from what has transpired since the last hearing. We had our site walk the Saturday after the last hearing. Thank you for accommodating us for that. Also, last week we obtained approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals. They voted to approve a special permit for work within the Groundwater Protection Overlay District. Next week, we are scheduled to be in front of the Planning Board for our first public hearing regarding site plan review and approval and the like. At this point, that's the current update as to where we are. I know that the commission may have additional comments or questions to this application subsequent to continued review and the site walk that was conducted. So at this point, I turn it back over to the chair just to initiate any comment and have a dialogue.
Well, we went out to about 2 weeks ago to the site. We walked the site. We went to the area where the wetland was delineated, and the wetland delineation did, to my mind, comply with what was represented on the plan. I think the project is very straightforward. So, and basically what you're proposing is really buffer zone activity, nothing directly impacting the wetland area. So I have no comments specifically. I think what was proposed and the conditions that we saw at the site comply with the plan. So I have no comments. Tom, any comments?
Nope, I concur.
And I know Michelle Koros had been with us, and Michelle's not here tonight, so we have no comments. I think again, it's as you indicated, so I think we're satisfied with what you've submitted. And is there anyone in the public that has any comments regarding the application by 9 St. Mark LLC for the building at 9 St. Mark Street in Auburn? There being no comment, and apparently no comment online either, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion, we close the public hearing?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. Thank you, Mr. Bernardino. We appreciate you coming in. And we should have a decision this evening. The next item on our agenda is a 7:10 public hearing. Michael Scott PE, an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for property located at 12 and 14 Auburn Hill Road. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
right, it's a vote. Oh, Mike,
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks. For the record, I'm Michael Scott. I'm an engineer at Land Design Collaborative in Westboro. I'm here on behalf of Freddie Asu and the landowner, Sarah Yabova. They have recently purchased, by recently, it was, I think, December or January of this year, December of last year, 3 lots at the end of Auburn Hill Road. 3 vacant lots. They're on the unimproved portion excuse me, of Auburn Hill Road, essentially an unconstructed cul-de-sac. The wetlands were delineated. There are wetlands adjacent to, bordering along an intermittent stream that runs to the east. It is known as Acres Brook. The plan is actually the last sheet. You scroll to the end. So Mr. Heim from Northeast Ecological flagged the bank, and then he flagged the adjoining BVW. That BVW is not on either of the properties owned by, or the 2 southern properties at 12 and 14 owned by Ms. Yeboah. It does cross the cul-de-sac bulb and cross onto the property that they purchased on the north side of Auburn Hill Road, number 15. But that's not the subject of tonight's hearing. We're looking at the 2 southern lots. The wetland extends, it probably consumes the bulk of lot 15. So they are not expecting that they can develop that property, which is why it's not shown in its entirety on this plan. The 2 lots to the south of the Auburn Hill Road right-of-way, they would like to develop, and the first step here is to verify the wetlands, which again are off-site on the remaining land that was retained when this property was subdivided back in the 60s or 70s.
Okay. We haven't had a chance to go out there, but I'm familiar with the road, and my understanding is that the road access ends at the end of the property owned by the Elizabeth Boyle Trust. Have you been out there?
Yeah, I have, sorry. Yes, I've been out to the site. The paved portion and roughly, sorry. The paved portion of the property, or of the roadway ends roughly in that area, so it's maybe about a quarter of the frontage of the western lot that they purchased. Does have access from the pavement. The other lot to the east would not. Mr. Asu had a sit down with, I believe, Mr. Moody, and perhaps the DPW last year. And there was, at that time, it was discussed that they would like to construct the cul-de-sac bulb to create the rest of the road.
Okay.
That doesn't seem likely. Much of the bulb is wetland, as delineated here. So if that's a public way, if it's a public right of way, or if it's private and they own that half, they're not going to look to construct that improvement. But they do want to know where the wetlands are so they can try to go forward with any sort of planning for an additional home or potentially 2 homes on these 2 lots.
Okay, I understand. So we haven't been out there. Obviously, and I think you know from our practice, we always like to take site walks, and we want to verify what you've shown on your plan. So I'm not going to be available for the next 2 Saturdays, but our next meeting is not until July 13th. So I was going to suggest maybe a site walk on July 9th. And of course, if other members of the commission want to go out there before then, they absolutely have the right to do that. But I thought you could give us a guided tour.
I will be happy to do that on Saturday,
Okay,
July 9th.
so shall we say July 9th at 9 o'clock?
We can do that, yes. And I'll have Mr. Heim there if he's available.
Okay,
That would be July 9 at 9 a.m.
right.
Okay, will do. And I was out there probably a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and the flags are still evident. It is thick. It was thick, even before the vegetation came in, so
All right.
just be prepared.
Any questions from the board? Okay. I believe Mr. and Mrs. Boyle are present. Would you like to comment? Can you state your name for the record and your address, please? And you can use the microphone.
10 Auburn Hill Road. So my only question is, has there been a determination, previous determination, maybe earlier, 30 years, on this property? Like it wasn't developed, so is there a record of the earlier determination?
I have no idea. I mean, this is the first time, to my knowledge, and I've been on the commission for too long, frankly, but for about 25 years. And we've never had a previous filing for this area of Auburn Hill Road. I don't know if that answers your question or not. And I think just to be clear, all we're being asked to do is to really confirm where the wetlands are adjacent to these lots.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right, so, and you agree to continue the public hearing to July 13th?
We will do that.
Okay, so is there a motion?
Make a motion, we continue the public hearing to July 13th at
7:05?
7:05.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. Okay, Mr. Scott, thank you for coming tonight, and we will see you on July 9th at 9 a.m.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Okay. We are now on to other business. So we have gotten a request from Lundgren Honda concerning the issuance of a partial certificate of compliance. And to be very honest, I'm not quite sure what the issue is. I don't really understand it. I don't know if someone is available to provide a presentation or an explanation, and I see that someone is. So if you would come up, sir, and state your name and who you, obviously you're representing Lundgren Honda, but who you're associated with. Sure.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Brian Nelson with Metro West Engineering. We were the design engineers for the dealership when it was built back in 2011, 2012. And then we had taken over for another engineering firm through the permitting process. And so an order of conditions, or a notice of intent certainly had been filed and an order had been issued. We came back through in 2012 as they constructed a connector road between the property at 163, which is the new dealership, or relatively new dealership,
Right.
and the adjacent property to the north. And so that connector road was done. There were some stormwater improvements associated with that. And so we came in for an amended order with those amendment to the order of conditions, which was granted by the commission I believe in 2012.
Right, I'm looking at
That was recorded, and there were a couple, I believe, outstanding conditions, in terms of some plug plantings which were installed early in the season in 2013. And then I think it basically just kind of slipped through the cracks to get the final COC. So Patrick Lindgren had called me a week and a half or so ago. I'm not sure if they're what they're looking to do with the property, but a title attorney caught the fact that the certificate final COC had not been issued, and this was for work that occurred basically, I think it was in 2012, wound up ending up, I think in November, completion around October, November of 2012.
Okay. I looked at the order of conditions, I look at the names on that order of conditions, and I'm the only one left standing, so. I do remember the project though, but I think what we need to do is we would need to make a site walk just to confirm that the order has been complied with. Was an as-built plan provided to us?
Yes, and we can, I know it's been a while. I actually brought copies with me tonight, but we can certainly get you guys hard copy stamped and signed, and we can send them digitally if you like to.
If you don't mind.
Yep.
And again, if you were present, I can't be available the next 2 weekends, but I would be available on July 9th. And, because our next meeting is going to be on July 13th.
Yeah, I can certainly do July 9th.
So we could, perhaps we could, let's say 9:30.
That works for me.
Okay.
So, yeah, the best place to meet, I believe, it's 143, if you were coming southbound on 20, 143 would be the property before the dealership on the left.
Okay.
We could meet either there or in the Honda parking lot, and like I said, the connector drive is right between those two properties, so.
Why don't we meet right in front of the Honda, the building
Okay.
itself?
All right, that works.
All right, perfect. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion, we continue the public hearing to July 13th at 7:10 PM.
Okay. Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right, so vote. All right, thank you very much. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Were you?
Yeah, I scribble right there on the top.
Well, I'm glad, you know.
You'd never be able to decipher that.
Well, that's why I
could barely
couldn't,
do it.
that's why I couldn't recognize it. Okay, well, that's good. The safety in numbers. Mr. Kravosky, good evening, sir. Good evening. Would you be here for 54 Prospect Street? All right.
Thank you. Glenn Kowalski from EBT Environmental Consultants on the 54 Prospect Street. We're asking for, if the commission so deems it, that there's an insignificant project change, which was done in order to satisfy stormwater on the minor project for stormwater for your bylaw. And there was a reduction in the amount of impervious surface. At the end of the driveway, the turnaround was reduced in size by Quinn to keep under the threshold from major to minor.
Okay.
And they did add the Cultec unit for the roof runoff to put that back in the ground.
That chatter is distracting.
Annoying.
Well, I was trying to be.
I'm not as quite as polite. Oh, maybe it's not a fight. So, if I could.
Just one moment.
Yeah.
It
I
is
got it.
distracting. All right, why don't you continue?
Well, thank you, Mr. Godwin. So as the plan shows, this is the revised plan. The turnaround in front of the driveway was reduced in size. They only had to reduce the square footage of the lot minor as far as impervious. And the width of the driveway is still 10 feet wide going to the house. And it also required a Cultec unit to infiltrate the roof runoff. As you might recall, the back of the lot is the highest point of the lot. We had already closed the hearing on this as an order. And if this is considered a minor project change, during the as-built, we would show, obviously, the revised reduction in impervious surface.
Do you know the percentage of the reduction?
It's in the documentation, yes, that the, we would have, we originally had under land disturbances, we have to open up the old plan, which we have. We would have had Quinn Engineering here to describe this, if they were, had other hearings. And in the notice of intent, we do describe the total percentage of land alteration.
Yeah, I'm just curious about what the.
It was,
don't get me wrong. This is
about 2,000 square feet. It was a minor change. Just get the TNLI. Enough to keep it under the threshold.
okay, is the work being done now?
No, because this only was, the order only came out within the last month and a half, we thought it prudent to wait to hear from the commission
Understand.
to see if they were going to require an amended notice of intent, revised notice of intent with amendment to the order. But again, because it's a reduction in area, we felt that in most cases, this would be called minor and be allowed to be shown during the as-built.
Okay, I got it. Any questions? Patrick, any questions? Nope. Okay. So as I understand it, because this is a reduction in impervious area, your request is that, I assume you want to incorporate, the revised plan,
Yes,
which I'm sorry, my copy's pretty small. Can you tell me when this was drafted?
it's on the lower portion of the plan. Could we just see that lower portion?
It's really tiny on mine.
Yeah, I know. He has the full plan. I'm sorry.
531.
We did send this to Staples, and we had a problem getting the final plan out.
Okay,
The final revision was 5/31/22.
okay, all right, very
Thank you,
good.
sir.
So I think, all right, this is my thought, and I'll confer with other members of the commission.
Yes, sir.
As long as there's a reference to the plan of May 31st of 2022, when the request for certificate of compliance is requested, and the as-built is also done, making reference to the 5/31/22 plan, I think you should be fine.
Thank you.
But again, that is my opinion. Tom, any comments? Okay, Patrick, anything?
No,
Okay. Megan, do you have any comment about that?
No.
Okay, so having said that, is there a motion?
Make a motion that we accept the changes and allow the applicant to add the reference to 5/31/22 when this plan was altered and to reflect that in the as-built.
Okay, and also that this is considered to be an insignificant project change?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
A second?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, so vote.
As always, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Good summer.
You too.
Thank you.
The next item under other business is Pioneer Lane, and I presume you are here for that, ma'am. Why don't you come on up? Okay. All you need to do is, you come up here. That's fine. We're friendly. And just tell us your name and your address, please.
Sure, my name is Quinn Burgess. I live at 4 Pioneer Lane.
Okay.
So I was hoping to come and just hear a little bit of information about what was proposed, more than was in the letter that we received.
Okay.
I think I understand, but I just wanted to make sure we were clear.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to share a brief thought about it.
Okay, so we have received pictures of, and apparently you probably see this every day, of the straw wattle and the silt fence at 6 Pioneer Lane. Okay, and it's my understanding that you would like to see them removed?
Yes, so we are perfectly happy, as you said, we look out on this from one side of our house, and the greenery is lovely, the straw wattle and the silt fence, especially in the winter, aren't particularly attractive. We weren't sure if they were permanent or if they were intended to decompose or just to stay there. We would be happy to see those, removed, and as you know, the sheet outflow that's so important from the wetlands in our backyard, we just want to make sure that is maintained so that the water level doesn't continue to rise. It's lowish right now, but this past winter was the highest we've ever seen it in the 5 years we've been there. We feel like it's that every year. So we just want to make sure it doesn't continue to increase. So as long as the proposal to replace this still maintains those necessary things that are in record already, then we don't object.
Well, I think, I don't think these, the erosion control measures were ever intended to be permanent. And so I think they certainly can come out. I think, again, they probably have served their purpose, and they can be removed at any time. The question is whether you can get the owner of 6 Pioneer Lane to do it. Have you approached them or asked them to do so?
I thought that we didn't propose this. I think they proposed it.
Well, they're not here tonight unless they're online. Is there anyone online here for 6 Pioneer Lane?
Yeah, this is Kari.
I'm sorry, can you identify your name, please? Identify yourself, please?
This is Harinivas Ganapati.
Oh, yes, okay. And you own 6 Pioneer Lane?
Yep, 6-2 Pioneer Lane, yep.
Okay, very good. So your neighbor's here, and do you have any objection to removing the silt fence and the straw wattles?
That is right. So we just want to remove that.
All right, so you are agreeable to removing these?
So we could remove it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you are not, so these erosion control measures are meant to be temporary, they are not meant to be permanent. So if you're looking for permission, or I guess a blessing, if you will, to remove these, the silt fence and the straw wattles, we have no objection to that, sir.
Okay, that is great. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. I think you're all set.
Great, thank you.
Okay. And then the final item under other business is, I guess there's a complaint of erosion near a culvert at 12 Newton Street. Do we have any pictures of that?
Did not. The complainant did not send any pictures.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tom and I went out there. I think Michelle had run off to go to a graduation. So we did check it out. There is no culvert erosion. There was no impact from, and just by way of background, 12 Newton Street had been before us for the installation of an in-ground pool. There were some issues relating to, it was a question of buffer zone activity or impact on a buffer zone activity. The owner made changes, and so Tom and I observed the intermittent stream behind their property. There's no evidence of any culvert erosion or no evidence that any of the construction activities at 12 Newton Street has contributed to any erosion on that culvert. So we did not find any grounds for the complaint. Okay. So we have to do an order of conditions for 9 St. Mark LLC.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we issue order of conditions for 9 St. Mark LLC, notice of intent, a standard order plus the following special conditions, numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 13.
Okay. So there's a motion, standard order plus 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 13. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Megan. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, it's a vote. And then just to let everyone know, and you did get an email on this, but just to reiterate, so apparently the era of hybrid meetings is going to end as of July 16th. So beginning at the meeting after our July 13th meeting, which would be July 27th, it'll be expected that all members who are available will participate in person and not remotely. So that's something to keep in mind. And that's it. So is there any new business? There being none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. All right, everyone, thank you very much. We'll see you in a few weeks. We'll see you on July 9th.